The first time Zara Owens saw the imposing glass tower of Zenith Industries, she felt impossibly small. It stretched toward the clouds like a monument to power and wealth, neither of which she possessed. At 26, with mounting student loans and a younger sister to support through college, the night cleaning position wasn't glamorous, but it paid better than her daytime retail job, and that's all that mattered. "You'll be handling the executive floor tonight," said Manny, her supervisor, handing her a special keycard. "Regular cleaner called in sick. Don't touch anything that looks important, and for God's sake, don't break anything." Zara nodded, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. "I won't." "Promise?" "The big boss works late sometimes," Manny added. "Just do your job and stay invisible." The elevator ride to the 50th floor felt like ascending to another world. When the doors opened, Zara gasped softly at the marble floors, the tasteful artwork, and the panoramic view of the city lights below. She wheeled her cleaning cart forward, feeling like an intruder in a sacred space. For an hour, she worked methodically through the empty offices, dusting desks, vacuuming carpets, and emptying trash bins. The opulence was staggering leather chairs that probably cost more than her monthly rent, sophisticated technology she'd only seen in magazines, and personal items that hinted at lives so different from her own. She was wiping down a conference table when she heard the soft click of a door opening down the hall. Zara froze, remembering Manny's warning about the CEO. Quickly, she turned off her music and tried to make herself scarce, moving into the shadows of the room. "Hello," a deep voice called out. "Is someone there?" Zara considered remaining hidden but decided honesty was better than being caught lurking. "Just the cleaning service," she called back, stepping into the hallway. The man standing there wasn't what she expected. For one, he didn't look old enough to be the CEO of a global corporation. He couldn't be more than 35, with dark hair that fell slightly over his forehead and intense blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. His sleeves were rolled up, tie loosened, but even in his slightly rumpled state, the quality of his clothes was evident. "I didn't realize anyone would be up here," he said. "I'm sorry if I disturbed you, sir. I can come back later." He shook his head. "No need. I've just been working too long anyway. I'm Zachary Xavier." The name sounded vaguely familiar, but Zara couldn't place it. She assumed he was some mid-level executive who shared a name with someone more famous. "Zara Owens. I'm new to the night shift." "Well, Zara Owens, don't let me interrupt your work, but if you don't mind, I'd appreciate if you left my office for last. I've got some papers spread out that I'd rather not have moved just yet." "Of course, Mr. Xavier." She nodded respectfully. "Zach is fine," he said with a smile that transformed his serious face. "Mr. Xavier makes me sound like my father." After he disappeared back into his office, Zara found herself oddly flustered. There had been something in his eyes, a kindness, perhaps, or simply the way he'd looked at her like a person rather than part of the furniture. It was refreshing, but she reminded herself not to read too much into it. Men like him didn't notice women like her, not really. An hour later, she knocked gently on his office door. "Come in," he called. His office was massive, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. Family photos were conspicuously absent from his desk, though a few framed awards and degrees hung on the walls. She spotted the MIT diploma and raised an eyebrow, impressed despite herself. "I can skip your office tonight if you'd prefer," she offered. Zach looked up from his computer, rubbing his eyes. "Actually, I was just about to leave. He checked his watch, almost midnight. I hadn't realized." "Time flies when you're..." She gestured at his computer. "Doing whatever important things CEOs do," he laughed, a warm, genuine sound. "Sometimes it's just answering emails that could have been a text message." He stood up, stretching. "How long have you been working here?" "Just 3 weeks," she admitted. "This is my first time on the executive floor." "And what do you do when you're not cleaning offices at midnight?" The question caught her off guard. Most people didn't care about the lives of cleaning staff. "I work at a bookstore during the day. And I paint when I have the time." A painter. His interest seemed genuine. What kind? Mostly landscapes, nothing special. She felt self-conscious talking about her hobby with someone like him. I should probably finish up here so you can leave. Don't let me rush you, he said, but he began gathering his things anyway. As she emptied his trash bin, she noticed a newspaper on his desk with his face on the front of the business section. The headline read, Zenith Xavier revolutionizes pharmaceutical distribution, stock soars. She blinked, finally placing his name. You're that Xavier, she said without thinking. Zachary Xavier, who took over Zenith after his father died. Something in his expression closed off slightly. That's me, though I prefer to think I've made the company my own by now. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, it's fine, he said, his smile returning though it seemed more guarded. Everyone knows the story. I don't actually, she admitted. I'm not exactly up on corporate news. This seemed to please him. That's refreshing, actually. He grabbed his jacket. Have a good night, Zara. I'm sure I'll see you around. After he left, Zara finished cleaning his office, taking extra care with the expensive furnishings. It wasn't until she was in the elevator heading down that she realized she'd just had a conversation with a billionaire CEO as if he were a normal person. The thought made her laugh out loud. The next night, she was surprised to find herself assigned to the executive floor again. But isn't Rita feeling better? She asked Manny. Mr. Xavier specifically requested you, he replied with a shrug. Said you did a good job, don't question good luck, kid. When she reached the 50th floor, she found a note on Zachary's office door, working late again. Coffee would be appreciated if convenient. Zara hesitated. Making coffee wasn't technically part of her job description, but it seemed like a simple enough request. She found the executive kitchen and brewed a fresh pot, trying to remember how she'd seen him drinking it during their brief encounter back. She was pretty sure. She knocked on his door, coffee in hand. You're a lifesaver, he said when she entered, looking genuinely pleased to see her. I skipped dinner and I'm starting to crash. You should eat something, she said, then immediately regretted the motherly tone, but Zachary just laughed. You sound like my assistant. She's always trying to make me take better care of myself. He accepted the coffee gratefully. Perfect. Thank you. I can leave you to your work, actually, he interrupted. Would you mind keeping me company for a few minutes? I've been staring at spreadsheets for hours and could use a normal conversation. Zara hesitated, unsure if this was appropriate. But his expression was so earnest that she found herself nodding. Sure, I guess, just for a few minutes. So tell me about your painting, he said as she perched awkwardly on the edge of a chair worth more than her monthly salary. It's just a hobby, she demurred. I don't believe that. No one works 2 jobs and still makes time for just a hobby. It must be important to you. His perception surprised her. I wanted to go to art school, actually, but after my parents died, I became responsible for my sister. She's studying nursing now, so it was worth it. That's admirable, he said, and she was struck by how he didn't offer empty platitudes or worse, pity. Do you have photos of your work? Reluctantly, she pulled out her phone and showed him a few landscapes she'd done of the city parks and riverfront. These are really good, he said, sounding genuinely impressed. You have a great eye for light. Thanks. She felt her cheeks warm at the compliment. What about you? Do you have any hobbies, or is running a global corporation enough excitement? Zachary laughed. I rebuild vintage motorcycles. Or I used to before, he gestured at the papers surrounding him. All this became my life. That doesn't seem fair, she said without thinking. Even CEOs should have time for the things they love. He looked at her with sudden intensity. You're right. I can't remember the last time someone reminded me of that. He glanced at his watch. I should let you get back to work. Thanks for the coffee and the conversation. As she cleaned the rest of the offices, Zara found herself thinking about Zachary Xavier. He wasn't what she'd expected from a billionaire CEO. There was something almost lonely about him, buried beneath the power and privilege. The pattern continued for weeks. Zara would find herself assigned to the executive floor, and Zachary would always be working late. Their conversations grew longer, ranging from favorite books to childhood memories. He told her about growing up with the pressure of the Xavier legacy. She shared stories about raising her sister after their parents' car accident. "You never really got to be young, did you?" he asked one night. "Neither did you," she countered. "Different circumstances, same result," he nodded, understanding in his eyes. "We're the responsible ones." One night she arrived to find his office empty. Disappointed but telling herself it was for the best, she was getting far too attached to these midnight conversations, she went about her duties. She was vacuuming the main conference room when the lights suddenly went out. The backup generators should have kicked in immediately, but the room remained dark. Using her phone flashlight, she made her way to the door, only to find it wouldn't open. The electronic lock system had failed. "Hello," she called, knocking on the door. "Is anyone out there?" "Zara." Zachary's voice came from the other side. "Are you okay in there?" "I'm fine, just locked in." The power building wide outage. The security system froze the electronic locks. "Maintenance is working on it, but it might be a while." "Great," she sighed. "I'm stuck in the dark." "Not for long," he promised. A few minutes later she heard him return, move away from the door. There was a scraping sound and then the door opened. Zachary stood there with a manual override key, looking concerned. "Are you all right?" Just a little startled. "How did you, CEO Perks?" he said with a half smile, holding up the key. "Come on, I've got emergency lights in my office." His office was softly illuminated by battery-powered lanterns, giving it a warm, almost intimate glow. "Building maintenance says it could be a few hours," he explained. "Something about the main transformer." "I should probably head home then," Zara said. "The elevators are out," he pointed out. "We're 50 floors up." "Right," she laughed nervously. "I hadn't thought that through. We could use the stairs, but I wouldn't recommend it in the dark." "Better to wait it out." He gestured to a small seating area with a couch and armchairs. "Might as well be comfortable." They sat in the soft light, the cityscape darkened by the power outage, stars more visible than usual above the urban sprawl. "It's beautiful," Zara murmured, looking out at the rare sight of a partly darkened city. "I'd love to paint this." "Why don't you?" Zachary asked. When she looked confused, he added, "I keep a sketchpad in my desk, for when inspiration strikes during boring meetings." He handed her a leather-bound notebook and some pencils. While she sketched the view, he worked quietly on his laptop, the battery still holding charge. "May I see?" he asked after a while. She handed him the sketchbook, feeling unexpectedly vulnerable. He studied it with genuine interest. "You really are talented, Zara. This captures something essential." Their eyes met, and Zara felt a shift in the air between them. For a brief moment, she thought he might lean in closer, but he handed back the sketchbook and cleared his throat. "I should check on the power situation," he said, standing abruptly. When he returned, his professional demeanor was firmly back in place. "They're making progress, should be back up within the hour. In the meantime, I had some sandwiches delivered earlier that I didn't eat. Care to share?" They ate and talked, and Zara found herself forgetting the disparity in their positions. He was just Zach, intelligent, thoughtful, and surprisingly funny. The power returned with a soft hum, breaking the spell of their isolated cocoon. "I should get you home," he said. "It's late, and the trains might not be running properly after the outage." "I can manage, I insist," he said. "My driver is probably already waiting. It's the least I can do after you've been trapped here." His car was a sleek black luxury sedan with buttery leather seats. Zachary gave his driver her address without asking, and she realized he must have looked up her employee file. She wasn't sure how she felt about that. "Thank you for the ride," she said stiffly as they pulled up to her modest apartment building. He seemed to sense her discomfort. "I'm sorry if that was presumptuous. I just wanted to make sure you got home safely." The sincerity in his voice melted her momentary irritation. "It's fine, thank you, really. Good night, Zara." The next night she was assigned to a different floor, and the night after that. By the third night, she understood whatever had been building between them, Zachary had decided to end it. It was probably for the best, she told herself. Men like him didn't end up with women like her, except in fairy tales. A week later, she was shocked to find him waiting by the service entrance when she arrived for her shift. Mr. Xavier, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to apologize," he said. "I've been avoiding you and that was cowardly." "You don't owe me an explanation," she said, though her heart raced. "I'm just an employee." "That's not true and you know it." He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she'd never seen from him before. "Look, could we talk somewhere more private?" She hesitated, then nodded. They walked to a small courtyard behind the building, deserted at this hour. "I like you, Zara," he said bluntly. "More than I should, given our working relationship. That night during the power outage, I almost." He shook his head. "But then I realized it would be an abuse of power." "I'm your boss, technically." "I see," she said quietly. "So I thought it would be better to keep my distance. But I've been miserable," he admitted. "I miss our conversations, I miss you." "I've missed you too," she confessed. "I don't have a solution," he said honestly. "Dating someone who works for you is complicated, but I can't keep pretending I don't feel something." "I could quit," she suggested. "No," he said firmly. "Your sister's education, your financial stability, I would never ask you to risk those things. There has to be another way." They stood in silence, the impossible situation hanging between them. "What if I found you another job?" he finally said. "Something better suited to your talents. Not because I want to date you," he added quickly, "but because you deserve better than cleaning offices at midnight." "I don't need charity," she said, pride stiffening her spine. "It's not charity to recognize talent. Our company has an in-house design team for marketing and communications. They could use someone with your eye." Zara stared at him, caught between hope and suspicion. "And if I say no?" "If I want to stay in my current position, then I respect that," he said simply. "And I'll continue to admire you from a professional distance." She studied his face, searching for any hint of manipulation, but found only sincerity. "I'll think about it," she finally said. "That's all I'm asking." For days, Zara wrestled with his offer. The design position would pay better, offer normal hours, and utilize her artistic skills. But would accepting make her feel obligated to him? Would others see it as favoritism if they eventually dated? These questions kept her awake at night. She was still undecided when a corporate-wide email announced a charity art auction for the company's foundation. Employees were encouraged to submit work, with proceeds going to educational programs for underprivileged youth. Without telling Zachary, Zara submitted 3 paintings. The selection committee, which didn't include him, chose 2 for the auction. The night of the event, she took a deep breath and attended, wearing a simple black dress she'd splurged on for the occasion. Her paintings were displayed prominently, with small cards identifying the artist. She stood nervously to the side, watching as wealthy donors and executives mingled. "These are exquisite," a woman's voice said beside her. Zara turned to find an elegant older woman studying one of her landscapes. "Are you familiar with the artist?" "Actually, I painted them," Zara admitted. The woman's eyebrows rose. "Really? Extraordinary talent. I'm Victoria Nichols, head of the Westmore Gallery downtown." Zara's heart skipped a beat. The Westmore was one of the most prestigious galleries in the city. "It's an honor to meet you." "The honor is mine," Victoria said. "We're planning an exhibition of emerging artists next spring. I'd love to see more of your work." They exchanged information, and Zara was still in shock when she felt someone watching her. She turned to find Zachary across the room, looking at her with unmistakable pride. He approached slowly. "I had nothing to do with this," he said quietly. "I didn't even know you'd submitted work until I saw the catalog." "I believe you," she said, and realized she did. "Victoria Nichols just invited me to show her my portfolio." His face lit up. "Zara, that's incredible." "I think I'm going to turn down the design job," she said. "Not because I don't appreciate the offer, but because I need to see where this could lead." He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I think that's wise, and it solves our other problem, doesn't it? If you pursue your art independently, there's no conflict of interest." "No, there isn't," she agreed, a smile spreading across her face. Both of Zara's paintings sold that night, one to Victoria Nichols herself, and the other to an anonymous buyer who paid 3 times the asking price. She strongly suspected she knew the buyer's identity, but chose not to ask. The following week, she gave notice at her cleaning job. Victoria had offered her a part-time position at the gallery while she developed her portfolio, which paid enough that she could quit her night work and keep just the bookstore job. On her last night, she found a note waiting in the break room. "Dinner? Now that you no longer work for me." She texted the number he'd included. "Yes, but I'm paying for myself." His response came quickly. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Their first official date was at a small Italian restaurant far from the corporate tower, where no one recognized the billionaire CEO in jeans and a casual shirt. They talked for hours, the conversation flowing as easily as it had during their midnight meetings, but with a new freedom now that the employer-employee dynamic was gone. "I have a confession," Zachary said over dessert. "I didn't just happen to be working late all those nights." "What do you mean?" "After the first night we met, I found myself looking forward to seeing you again. So I might have deliberately scheduled my late work on the nights you were assigned to the executive floor." Zara laughed. "And here I thought it was coincidence." "Not even close," he admitted with a rueful smile. "I'm usually home by 7. "I'm glad you're not a workaholic," she said, "though I am a little scandalized by your deception." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "Can I be forgiven?" The warmth of his touch sent a pleasant shiver through her. "I'll consider it." Their relationship developed slowly, deliberately. Zachary was careful not to overwhelm her with his wealth, though occasionally his status became unavoidably apparent, like when they were seated immediately at restaurants with month-long waiting lists, or when his security detail discreetly followed them at public events. For her part, Zara maintained her independence. She flourished at the gallery, and Victoria became a mentor, helping her prepare for her first small exhibition. She kept her apartment, refused extravagant gifts, and insisted on paying her own way when she could. "You're the most stubborn woman I've ever met," Zachary said admiringly after she refused his offer to pay for a specialized art course. "I'm not with you for your money," she reminded him. "I need to remember that I can stand on my own." He kissed her forehead. "I know. It's one of the reasons I love you." The words hung in the air between them the first time either had said them aloud. Zara's heart raced as she looked up at him. "I love you too," she whispered, and the joy that spread across his face was worth every moment of uncertainty that had preceded it. 6 months into their relationship, Zachary invited her to his penthouse for the first time. She'd been reluctant to see it, afraid that the reality of his wealth would create an unbridgeable gap between them. But as he led her through the spacious, tastefully decorated rooms, she was struck by how the space reflected him, elegant but comfortable, with unexpected personal touches. "This is my favorite room," he said, leading her to a sunlit corner that had been converted into an art studio. Easels, canvases, and professional-grade supplies were arranged invitingly. "For when you're here," he explained. "The light is perfect in the mornings." Tears sprang to her eyes at the thoughtfulness of the gesture. "You created this for me. I want you to feel at home here," he said simply. "In whatever capacity you're comfortable with." It was the perfect way to acknowledge the future possibilities between them without pressing for commitments she wasn't ready for. Over the following months, Zara found herself spending more time at his place, keeping clothes there, painting in the morning light while he made coffee. Her gallery exhibition was a modest success, with several paintings sold and positive reviews in local art publications. Zachary attended the opening but stayed in the background, not wanting his presence to overshadow her achievement. "I'm so proud of you," he said later that night as they celebrated privately. "You did this on your own merits." "Not entirely on my own," she admitted. "Your belief in me mattered." It still does. A year after they began dating, Zachary proposed during a weekend trip to a coastal town where Zara was gathering reference photos for a new series of seascapes. The proposal was simple and heartfelt, no grand gestures or public spectacles, just the two of them on a deserted beach at sunrise. "I've never met anyone who sees me the way you do," he told her, holding out a ring that was elegant but not ostentatious. "Who challenges me, grounds me, and makes me believe in possibilities I'd forgotten existed. Will you marry me, Zara?" "Yes," she said without hesitation, "but I have conditions," he laughed. "Of course you do. I keep my career. We establish a prenuptial agreement that protects both of us. And we find ways to use your resources to help others, like a foundation for arts education." "Agreed on all counts," he said, sliding the ring onto her finger. "Anything else?" "Just one more thing," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I get to tell my old supervisor Manny that I'm marrying the boss." Their wedding was intimate by Billionaire standards, just 100 guests at a historic estate outside the city. Zara's sister was her maid of honor, and the gallery owner Victoria was among the guests, along with several of Zara's former colleagues from the cleaning staff, including a bemused Manny. As they shared their first dance, Zachary whispered, "Happy." Zara looked up at the man who had first appeared to her as just another late working executive, the man whose heart she now knew as intimately as her own. "More than I ever imagined possible," she answered truthfully. 2 years later, their son was born, a bright-eyed boy they named James after Zara's father. Zachary took a month off work, delegating responsibilities to his executive team in a way he never would have considered before meeting Zara. She continued painting, converting part of their home into a studio where she could work while staying close to her family. They found balance in their marriage, in their careers, in their approach to wealth and privilege. Together, they established the Owens Xavier Foundation for Arts Access, providing opportunities for underprivileged students to pursue creative education. On quiet evenings, they sometimes reminisced about their unconventional beginning. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't been assigned to the executive floor that night?" Zara asked once, as they sat on their terrace overlooking the city. Zachary considered this. "I think we would have found each other anyway," he said finally. "Some things are just meant to be." "That's surprisingly romantic coming from such a pragmatic businessman," she teased. "You've changed me," he admitted, pulling her close. "For the better, I hope." "We've changed each other," she corrected. "That's what love is supposed to do." From her vantage point in his arms, the tower where they'd first met was visible among the city lights, no longer an intimidating monument to power and wealth, but simply the place where an overworked CEO and a determined knight cleaner had found an unexpected connection that transcended all boundaries.